Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for attending our very special District Toastmasters event. 2020 has brought in more storm clouds into our lives than we could have ever expected. We have all been pushed down and beaten up, some more than others. Some don't know what to do. Some don't know what to say. Too many can't find the silver lining. Too many can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. 2020 promised us a chance to see more clearly, but we have been hit with a pandemic, job losses, financial disaster, hate, injustice, protesting, fire, fear, and anger. It is time to take a deep breath and step back. The following three speakers would like to help you deal with the storms of today and hopefully show you the light of tomorrow. Our first presenter. Shirley has had her share of ups and downs for a long time. Life was getting the best of her, keeping her down. It got to the point where she didn't know how to pick herself up. Taking a leap of faith 9 years ago and saying yes to new endeavors, she has been able to change her negativity to positivity in her pursuit of happiness and wants the same for you. Let me introduce to you Distinguished Toastmaster Shirley Tracey.
Thanks. Emotions, we all have them. There are 27 emotions, in fact, that we all have. Some are positive, some are negative. We all like those positive ones, don't we? It's in our Declaration of Independence. We want to pursue, we have the right to pursue happiness. But sometimes those negative ones, even though they're helpful, they get in the way. So how do we change the negatives into positives? I've been learning over the years, and here's my tips for you. First of all, sadness. In my life, every time I'm sad, it's because of love. I'm sad because I've lost someone. I lost my father over 27 years ago. And even now, a song will come on the radio, or I'll have a thought in my head that brings me to tears. I'm sad, but I'm happy because I had love. I had a father that was my best friend, and I lost him, but I had the love. And I think that's more powerful than anything. It's inevitable. We're all going to go someday. Life is never permanent. So if you have love, then that's a really good thing to have. And it's good to be sad because you've lost something you love. And every time I'm sad, it's all about love. Anger. I've had a lot of anger issues in my life. Anger, in a positive way, can bring you to action. Look at all our protesters. They're angry and they're trying to make it right because something is wrong with the world right now. Sometimes anger can get out of control and can run your life. That's when you have a problem. Years ago, somebody did something to me that really, really bothered me. And I kept on thinking about it, and all I could think of was, I hate this person did me wrong. Didn't hurt the other person, but it was affecting me because every time I thought of her, I would get in a bad mood and I would snap at anyone that was around me. It was horrible and I couldn't get out of it. So finally what I did was I put a big picture in my head every time I thought of her, and it said, stop. And what I did after that was have something positive that I had previously thought of to take away that negative emotion, the negative thought. It took time. It took a while for me to finally stop hanging on to that negative. But after a while, it worked. And I always had something positive to think of before I had the negative. So now I'm prepared. Lastly, fear. Fear can keep us safe, but it can also paralyze us into doing nothing and to not living life. After high school, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I thought, well, maybe I'll join the military. But then I thought, oh my gosh, what if I don't like it? What if it's not good for me? What if my newborn niece doesn't know who I am? What if my family doesn't remember me? What if I lose my friends? What if any negative thing that I could think of? I should have been saying, what if it's the best experience I've ever had? What if I find lifelong friends? What if it's great? What if, what if any positive that I could have thought of? I'll never know because at that time I was too afraid to even move. But the fear reminds me of a roller coaster and how people respond to roller coasters. I just have to digress for a minute here. You have three kinds of people. The people that look at that roller coaster and see how high it is, see how low it dips, and say, oh no, I'm not going on it. And then you have the other people that see how high that roller coaster is, see how low it dips, and say, well, it looks really scary, but I think it's safe. I'm going to go on. And they go on and they hang on to that rail as tight as they can, and they get through it. Then you have the last ones that give caution to the wind and ride it without thinking about it with their hands in the air. I admire the people in the second group, the people that do things even though they're afraid. And that makes the fear turning into a positive thing where you're not paralyzed. You might not enjoy your time, but at least you said, I went and I tried it. You'll never have to wonder, would I have enjoyed my roller coaster ride or even going to the military? My old personality, I was angry a lot of times. I just wasn't happy. I was super impatient. And all I could do is, and all I did was snap at people. I didn't know why, but I was the toxic person in my workplace, and I got to the point where I didn't even like myself because I was in that catch-22. I'd snap at someone, and then I'd hate myself for doing it, and then I'd snap again, and it was in just a terrible circle. I used to be a member of a gym, and I got something on my screen. It's bugging me. I used to be a member of a gym, and I was coming up for my renewal. Quite honestly, I wasn't happy there. My back had been giving me trouble for 40 years, so I went on all the back machines, but I wasn't getting a lot out of them. And finally, I said, God, is this all there is? What am I here for? I don't feel like I'm helping anybody. I don't feel like I'm helping me. What else is there for me? His answer came in the form of a coupon to a new gym, which was a boutique gym, offered all personal training. Now, the coupon had a website, and I went to it. It had people like me, old people, young people, heavier people, mostly heavier people, some thin people, but it was all personal training, and it caught my eye. Free 2 weeks. How can I give it up? I went there, and I will tell you, I had never sweat as much as I did that day. I hadn't worked as hard as I did that day. And when I came home, I've never felt as accomplished as I did when I got home that night. I was hooked. I thought, oh, wow, this is great. I was so happy. And then I read the fine print and found out how much it was. Now, I will tell you that this was almost the price per month as what I wasn't really willing to pay for the gym that I was at for a year. But I knew this place was right for me. So what I did, I had my conversation with God, and I said, all right, you got me here. I'm expecting you to help me pay for this. And I didn't worry about anything after that. Somehow I was able to pay for it. I don't know how, but I was worth every single penny that I went there. Within a few months, I noticed my back stopped hurting. My back that gave me trouble since I was 11 years old stopped hurting. Not only that, something was happening to my head. I was getting happy. I was getting a little more patient. I still had a ways to go, but there was a big change in my life because of that. My mom said this guy saved my life. I believe her. I was really in a bad way before I started, and I didn't even realize it. With my back being stiff, I was afraid, what was I going to be like at 60, 70? Would I be in a nursing home not being able to move? How would I function? I ended up staying there for 4 years. And what happened was he just got so big, he changed so many lives. And I was so impressed with him. But I wanted to know, how did he do this? How did my life get better? More importantly, how did he stop my back from hurting all the time? How did he get it strong? So I took a personal training class. And with my personality and not having any patience, I really didn't want to be a personal trainer. I did it for me. But during the class, all I could think of was, wow, this stuff is so great. I feel fantastic. I don't have to take any pills, and I feel good. I feel younger than I did when I started. I got a fountain of youth. I got a panacea. I've got something that the world needs to know about. How do I shout it from the rooftops, the mountaintops? I joined Toastmasters. And I figured at some point either I'd like it or I wouldn't like it. But maybe they would help me find a little niche for me to talk about it, to get people, to inspire people to exercise and take better overall care of themselves. I have learned that there's happiness when I do this, and I've been gaining confidence. And finally, I joined a company called Beachbody. I joined as a customer first. I was offered $99 to stream hundreds of exercise videos to my house. They were hard. They were really challenging. And I would do them and then I'd stop and do my own stuff. I was really trying to maintain my back so it didn't hurt. But then I got an offer a year later to be a fitness influencer. Well, that's what I've been trying to do for years. So I took that offer. And what I love about this company is it is so supporting. It wants you to be happy. It wants you to be healthy. It challenges you. There is not one exercise that I have, and I have anything from yoga to dancing to strength training. You name it, I have it. And every single one of them will challenge you. But that's what brings the change in you. You just have to do the best you can. You're only competing against you. And if you could do it all, you wouldn't need it. And it's a mindset, but there's programs that I do. And with each program, I got better and better and more confident. The company encourages self-help books. The first book that I read was Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect. Great book, tells you how to make $1 million out of a penny, but it tells you how the compound effect affects you. I thought that was good. There's two books that one was referred to me. One was one that I got at one of the TLIs or the conferences, The Excellence Book by Dana Lamont. This book is part of my morning routine that helps me live in excellence. I go the extra step now to do a better job at whatever I do because I read it every day. It's a positive thing that I put in my life. The book that really, really changed me and really helped me was Mastering Your Marine Girl by Melissa Ambrosini. How many of you have that little voice in the back of your head that when you want to do something different, that voice says, why are you doing that? You really don't deserve that. Do you really think people are going to listen to you? Are you nuts? Well, this book taught me to not listen to that person. And it was just the book that did it. The best thing this book taught me, though, was to keep a grateful journal. Again, I was miserable. I wasn't as miserable by then, but I was still a little impatient. I wasn't appreciative of really what I had. And my first entry was last year, June 16th. It took me about 15, 20 minutes to put 5 entries in there. I'm up to 10 to 20 now, and it takes 15 to 20 minutes. It's worth the time because you really start thinking more of the positives. And during your day, you're thinking of ways that you're grateful. And with negativity thrown at us day long, every day, all the time, internet, the radio, the TV, it sticks us like glue. Where positivity just bounces off. We don't get enough of it. We have to be more mindful of positivity. And the Grateful Journal really, really helps me with that. I haven't missed a day. I bring it with me if I go out of town. It's something that's super, super important. It keeps me positive, keeps me happy. It helps me to help others because I'm happy. I don't snap at people. One of my grateful journals, I'm sad to say, but I'm happy to say, is I haven't given any of my clients any attitude in months. It's not like me. I'm always afraid sometimes to work with some of my clients, and I work for a divorce firm. So some of our clients really need help. There are 6 things that I've learned that really, really help keep the positives. The first one, know that things happen in life. Life is never always happy. Things are always going to happen. This is not the first pandemic that has hit America or the world. Same with racism. Unfortunately, it's around. It got better and now it's worse, but I think we have more people in the world now that are willing to fight for it that we had before. Stop your negative thoughts. Put that big stop sign in your head. Have a positive thought available. Think of something that makes you smile and switch it out every time you every time you have a negative thought. Be mindful of it. Focus on what you can or are willing to change. If you're not willing to change anything, or if you can't, then let it go. Accept that this is how it is. Let it go. It's not worth your time. You're not going to do anything about it. Exercise. Move. Our bodies work so much better when they're challenged, when they're moving. And not only do you feel better in your body, you feel better in your mind. There's nothing like a good challenge. If you've ever taken a hard test or done something that you've had to work really hard at and you accomplish it, you get that great feeling. And when you do that with exercise, you get that feeling constantly. It stays with you. Next is start and use a grateful journal. You may start small, but it will definitely make you grow. And it will help you to be mindful of positivity. Last, ask yourself, is what I'm doing helping me or hurting me? Sometimes we don't realize it. We don't ask ourselves the question, but it's important to do so because you never know. You might be thinking, well, this is really good, but if you really ask yourself and answer honestly, ask, is this helping or hurting me? Finally, going back to my Beachbody coaches and the support that we have one young woman that every time she posted something, you could just see the energy. You could feel her energy. She was our star coach because of the energy that she brought. Last year, she suffered a tragic accident. She was lucky to be alive. Her mother passed away in the accident. She lost a leg. Devastating. Her mom was her best friend. They communicated all day via text and phone calls. They were tight. She didn't know what to do. She spent 3 weeks in the hospital. They had to replace her pelvis. They had to rebuild it. They had to work on her back. Again, she lost her leg. She didn't know how life was going to be, but she was resilient. And she knew that she had to go through every emotion in order to be well. She let it in, but she didn't hang on to it. She would get on Facebook Live and say, I'm having a bad morning. And you could tell that she was crying. And she said, but I will get over it. Now I have to go work out so I can walk again. I'm happy to say that 2 weeks ago, she was able to go kayaking, something that she wasn't sure that she'd be able to do ever again. And last week, she climbed up the ladder to get to her camper, and life is finally getting to normal. In closing, this is the type of person that she is. This is something that she wrote on Facebook to inspire. Sometimes life throws you an unbearable amount of darkness, enough darkness that it makes you wonder how you're going to make it through the day. But on the contrary, life also throws you an extraordinary amount of light. It's being able to wade through that darkness and look toward the light that will keep you going. And having the luxury of still being here to find your reason to shine is such a gift. Please don't waste it. Mr. Toastmaster, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shirley. Really appreciate this wonderful, inspirational topic, and what a great story you portrayed. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks. Thanks for letting me do this.
Oh, we love that you shared such a great experience that you've had, and we can relate to it in many ways. So thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Help me welcome Noel Ganay back on our stage. Please welcome Noel. We don't see him. At this point right now, the person that is presenting next is, your screen is frozen. His screen is frozen. Oh no. Okay. The intro for the next presenter, Marty, are you the next presenting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't have it right in front of me, so I'm going to
Make it up.
Pardon me?
Just make it up.
Okay, thank you. I love that. Isn't that great energy that we just heard? Just make it up, just go for it. Marty has been a huge success for us in District 30. We have some great champions, people that actually have such great talents, and not only do they keep it to themselves, but they share it with others. He is inspiring so many people, even around the world, from all different ages, especially the youth. And he's bringing some real joy into their lives. What a perfect example of somebody who is so vivacious, it's contagious. Please help me welcome Marty Jalove.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So many years ago, my father was shot in World War II. Now, he survived it, but he was shot in World War II. My father was a paratrooper and a Golden Glove boxer in World War II. And I think about that, and I just think how amazing he was. After him, my oldest brother joined the Army because he wanted to replicate what my father did. My younger brother joined the fire department because he wanted to replicate what my father did. That bravery that my father was just always about. And throughout my entire life, I second-guessed myself because I never had that kind of bravery. It just wasn't inside me. I was a different person. Now, I'm number 6 out of 7 children in my family. We lived in an apartment building inside a 2-story apartment near Humboldt Park in the city of Chicago. We were surrounded by gangs in there, and there was a lot of gang trouble. I never fought. I never had to fight because I had older brothers and a father that fought to keep that garbage away from our neighborhood. And again, I always questioned myself because I said, if I faced it, would I be strong enough to do it? And I looked at that and I said to myself, I didn't think I could. There was 9 of us living in the house. I have a total, like I said, I'm 6 of 7. We lived in a 3-bedroom house, so we slept all over the place. My brother and I, we slept in the dining room most of our life in a pull-out couch. I don't look down upon it. I just have memories of that, and I had nothing to compare it to, so I don't feel sorry for myself. I had a treasured childhood because I had loving parents and loving brothers, and I had people looking out for me all the time. I was the shortest of my family. My sisters were taller than me, my brothers were taller than me, and they all played sports. I was the one who didn't play sports. I didn't do any of that. I never got the thrill of it. So I was the one who stayed at home and drew pictures and talked, and I talked, and I talked, and I talked. And all those people who know me know that you can't shut me up sometime. And I used to talk to my father sometime, and you could see we could never have the conversation that I wanted. Never could just break that shell because he was a physical man who worked construction and broke his back to make sure that we had a life that was worth living. We worked on a laborer's salary. He supported us and put all of us children through Catholic grammar school and Catholic high school. He spent every cent up in his pocket on us and every fiber of his being to make us better. And I used to go out of my way. I would sit next to him as he sat and watched television. We would sit quietly. When he would do construction around the house, I was always there holding the ladder, handing him tools and stuff like that. But we always sat silent. And I always asked myself, Is he proud of me? Does he love me? And my father wasn't the kind of guy to express that. When I was in 8th grade, I got asked to play basketball in the 8th grade tournament. And I was a short, fat kid, no athletic ability whatsoever. But I had a friend there named Ken who said, come on, Marty, I want you on my team. You could do this. You could do this. And he came up with this plan that he said, when there's a breakaway and everyone runs down to one side of the court, Marty, you stay on this side, stand under the net, don't move. He goes, I'm going to take that ball and I'm going to throw the ball across the court. You're going to catch it. You're going to make that layup. And I was scared to death because the responsibility of being able to, first off, catch that ball, and then secondly, to actually make the layup as everyone's running, I didn't want that responsibility, but he had so much faith in me. And when we were playing the game, my father was in the audience. And as all the players are running down the court and I'm standing there, my father was the voice that I heard yelling at me going, run, run, you're part of a team, go, go. And I couldn't. And I was looking at him going, no, we have a plan. There's a plan going on. And it was that terror of going, I'm embarrassing my father. And what made it worse was when that ball finally came and I caught it, barely catching it, I couldn't even make the layup. I was such a bad player. This went through most of my life, always being like that. And it wasn't until my father's deathbed, okay, when he died, and he died at the age that I will be next year. When he died, and I walked up and I sat next to him and I talked to him, and I asked him straight out, do you love me? Have I made you proud? And he started crying. And he explained to me, of course I love you. What would ever make you think I didn't love you? He goes, I'm so proud of you. You are so talented. You do so many things I could never do. Please, please tell me you never thought I didn't love you. And we hugged, and it was a treasured moment. And it was then that I realized we have to talk. We as Toastmasters have to talk and share those feelings. We can never hold those feelings inside because we don't know what other people are interpreting about what we think. We've got to reach out to them. Okay, what I do now is I take my phone and I open the contact list because of this quarantine we're in, and I spin the contact list, and wherever it stops, I make a call. Notice how sometimes we run into people that we want to talk to. We have lots of people, friends, maybe some people from work that we want to talk to. Then there's people we need to talk to. Those are the people, colleagues at work, maybe the doctor, etc. But then there's a bunch of people we should talk to. Those are the people that are lost in there. Reach out and tell them because they need to hear from you. Now, the most important thing I learned from my father was these circles that are here. And it's kind of funny. I make fun of it now because I kind of put it in my own words, and it's all about bacon, okay? The question was, my father said to me, when you're growing up, he goes, take what life hands to you, learn from life, and never stop learning. This was the conversation we had so late in life, and I wish we had it earlier. So I put it in my own words, and I ask you, question yourself. Are you raw yet? Okay, are you the point in time where you're open to everything and you're just open and ready to pick up everything and you don't know which direction your life is going in? Sometimes it's with your career, sometimes it's with your social life, sometimes it's with a relationship. But are you raw at that point? I deal with so many kids and they're all raw, and I try so hard to push them in the right direction. Next, as we get older, are we chewy? In other words, have we reached some point in our life where we've learned some things and we've gotten better, and maybe we're still willing to bend and change, and we're not so stuck in our way? Or lastly, are we crispy? In other words, has life beaten us down so much that we refuse to? We cannot bend, because if we bend and change our ways, we're going to break. So I urge you so much. I know at our age, we're not raw anymore. We've learned. We've become chewy. We are ready to take the next steps in our life, but we have to learn to bend and change. That's what's so important. But I urge you so much, just open up and start talking to people. There are so many people out here that need to hear from us. And after all, we're Toastmasters. This is all we do. This is all we practice doing. And yet we stay in these small groups and saying, these are my friends. These are the people I want to talk to. And if you want to experience real happiness, I am telling you, reach out to people, because the stray people that I'm calling on a regular basis that I haven't talked to in years, bring me so much incredible joy because I'm no longer quarantined in this small house. I'm quarantined in the world, and I can still reach out to everyone. So I urge you, you want to get happy? Start talking to people. The next step is I'd like to talk to you about the relationships that I've had throughout my life. For those of you, there's only a few who know this. I've been married 3 times, divorced twice, and now married to Christy. Before that, I lived with a girl, I dated, I had long relationships, short relationships. But in hindsight, I can go back and I can look at these relationships and I can tell you what the problem was. And obviously, your gut feeling all the time, every single time is, it's her fault, okay, or it's his fault. It wasn't me. I was perfect. I was everything that that person needed, but it's not the truth. No matter what goes on in a relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship, a relationship between a parent and a child, a relationship between a husband and a wife, between friends, between a boss and an employee, there's always a give and take. Sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 90-10, but everybody is either positive or guilty in some part. I was in relationships where it was all about me. All I wanted to do is, I wanted it to be about me. Whatever I wanted had to be done. I was also in relationships on the flip side, where it was all about them. It was somebody I loved, I cherished. I thought, oh my God, this is the perfect person. And I would bend over backwards. But what ends up happening there is you get taken advantage of. And you can only be taken advantage of so long. I've been in relationships where it was all about me for me, and it was all about her for her. And we stayed separate. And that was the relationship with my ex-wife who gave me my 2 children. We were more like roommates after a while than husband and wife. She had her life, I had my life. My life, luckily for me, I had 2 wonderful, absolutely wonderful children because I devoted my entire life to these kids. And this is, my entire life was about them. There's a difference between my daughter and my son of 7 years because we just went on and on and on. And the relationship I had with my wife, it was an absence of intimacy. And so I have 2 children that filled my life. And it was so sad the way that ended because there were plenty of times in my life I thought, maybe this should end. Maybe this is the best it gets. Maybe this is what everybody goes through. But I wanted more. And one day my daughter, probably in 8th grade or so, was going on a trip. So she was going to be gone, an 8th grade trip. She was going to be gone for a weekend. My son was at his grandparents' house. And so it was just me and my wife. We had the weekend to ourselves. We still went about our own business side by side and didn't, just kind of ignored each other. And then I came up at night and my wife is watching TV by the TV and I said, hey, I'm going to go to bed. Are you going to come to bed? And she said like this and moved me out of the way to watch TV and says, no, I'm going to watch this on television. And I stood back in front of her and I said, is this what our life has come to? This is it? We have a weekend where it's just about us. It should be about us. And this is what our life is like. And she goes, yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm watching this. And I look at her and I broke inside. I broke inside again. And I said, are you saying that this is it? You want a divorce? Is this the end of our marriage? And her answer was the exact same way. Yes, I guess so. As she kind of moved me out of the way, she would have rather watched that show than work on our marriage. So I became a single parent after that, which was some of the hardest things I did. But I learned this 3-0 right here, that so often, and with my relationships now, and with my wife, Christy, who is absolutely wonderful, and I can't wait for us all to get out of quarantine sometime and come to a meeting, and I want to bring her, and I want to bring her up on stage and shout her name to all of you, because she is absolutely wonderful. She is everything to me. She supports me in every single thing I do, every goofy, stupid, crazy thing I do. She is there behind me, helping me. Never telling me stop. What we do is we talk and I say, these are my goals. These are the things I want in life. And I tell her, what are your goals? What are the things you want in life? Tell me, express them to me. And we share that. And we talk about, how do I help you share your goals to meet our goals? How can I support you so that your dreams can come true, so that our dreams can come true. And she goes out of her way to help me do the same thing. We spend time together, real time together. When the kids are away, we enjoy each other's company. Sometimes we tell each other, I just want you in a general proximity. I just want to know that you're there. She is such a joy for me. When I travel for work, and before the quarantine, I traveled a lot. When I was on the flight, I would turn off my phone and I would tell her I love her. I'm turning off my phone. I'll talk to you when I land. And every single time I'd turn on the phone as we land, and there'd be 20 text messages from her telling me how much she loves me and how much she missed me. And it's just something that she has done since the moment we started dating, which is just her way of telling me how much she loves me. And I know I could never return that love, but she is absolutely amazing. And the secret we got from that is this. And just like I told you before, where talking is so important, even more important than that is listening. Now, as Toastmasters, we are so good at talking, and we can talk and talk and talk. Give us a spot, and we'll fill it with laughter. We'll fill it with whatever thoughts going through our head. But what we need to do to find real happiness, what we really, really need to do is shut up and listen to somebody else. Turn off the voices in your head. Stop trying to prepare your next answer and just listen, because other people have so many wonderful things to say. And you can listen to them and not respond. What an incredible idea when you think about that. Just listen to somebody and don't feel it's necessary to respond. That is such a wonderful trick. And I can sit there and listen to my wife all the time. She has some wonderful ideas. Things I go, I would have never done that. That's crazy. That's wonderful that it's making you happy. And we try to raise now our kids, my 2 and her 2, all 4 of our kids. We try to raise them with that same philosophy. And it's beautiful, and we're really working hard to share that with everybody. So I really encourage you, learn how to talk and learn how to listen. The last part, which is so important, which I have learned over the years, is this. I cherish not only my wife, but my kids. And when I say my kids, I'm talking about my children, my biological children, my bonus children that I got by marrying Christy, and all the kids that I get a chance to teach and enlighten. And I see their eyes wide open as they listen to my words. And I realize the responsibility I have by saying something, because they're listening to me more than any adult has ever listened to me at any Toastmaster meeting. These kids lean into me and listen, and I hear them repeat my words back and forth. And I know that responsibility I have is for that next generation, to make them blossom. I've had tragedies with my children as well. Those of you who've heard my speech before about my daughter who got close to committing suicide scared me to death, because I was a single father and I really thought I was good at being a father. I was really good at talking, not so good at listening. I was still learning. But my daughter came to me over and over again trying to plead with me, but I didn't understand and I didn't know what to do. Aside from my daughter going through that, I had a nephew who committed suicide. And he was the son of one of my favorite siblings. And this nephew was so loved. I had so much fun with him. We would talk and laugh and have so many wonderful conversations. And to this day, I never understood why he couldn't just open up to somebody. Wasn't somebody there ready to listen to him? I don't know. But it was just missing. And I lost him at an early age. So when my daughter went through the same thing, it crushed me, because I wasn't going to live through this again. And it wasn't going to happen to my child. But I didn't know what to do. To make things worse, as we went on, and I married Christy, her oldest daughter went through the same thing. Depression hit her, and she almost did the exact same thing. I went through this and I said, oh my God, how can I tell people to be happy? How can I help people find their path of happiness if I can't even do it with the children in my life? That's why I go out of my way so much, and I spend as much time as I can with children, just trying to push them in the right direction. And maybe I'm making up for something in my life that's missing, but you know what? As long as I'm making a difference, To me, that's what's most important. Now, these circles here represent so much to me. And I ask all of you to do this. We've talked about talking and listening. Now it's time to actually act upon that. Start making a list of the things you love. And I keep my list on my phone. I go through it all the time. My wife is third on my list. My children are 2, and those of you who know me knows that bacon is the first thing on my list of things that I love, that bring me joy in life. But I go through everything. I talk about, I love how the rain hits the window. Okay. I love how my dog will always love me and come to me no matter what emotional state I'm in. My dog will always put his head on my lap. I love my family. I love my work. I love Toastmasters. I love all the friends I've made at Toastmasters, the amazing, amazing people. I love the transformation that I've gone through because of Toastmasters. I love the fact that I've been able to dig deep inside and find so many passions that I would have never known had it not been for Toastmasters. Continue to make that list of love. Keep it wherever you want. Write it down. Put it on your phone, wherever. Because whenever you're depressed, whenever you're mad, whenever you're sad, whenever you're afraid, flip that open and realize all the wonderful things that you could be grateful for. They're there for you. That's your pocket guide. That's your silver lining that is always with you. I urge you, please, please continue to do that. Next, make a list of the things that you're good at, your talents, your wonderful talents. I like to draw. I like to speak. I like to write. I go through a list of things of those areas that I feel I'm good at. And man, when you can see your talents and the things you love, they cross over, that's just golden. Those are the areas, that's your passion in life. Those are the things you should be doing. Too often we're stuck in these mundane careers. We're scared to death about what tomorrow is going to bring. Take a step away from it. We can't change the pandemic. We cannot halt the riots right now. We can't stop all the hate and the anger. We can't do it right now, but we can reach deep inside and find our passion, the things that bring us happiness. And to capitalize on it, make it even greater, is look at what the world needs. What does the world need? And gosh, think about it. The world needs a whole lot right now. Too much. But if you can find something that you love to do, something you're talented at and that the world needs, you have just found the epitome. Every single thing that you do that falls within those circles will bring you so much happiness. It will blow your mind. You will always be grinning. People who know me see me all the time and go, Marty, you're always smiling. And it's because I found this. I really found this. I've had hardships in my life, but you know what? Those hardships are like the knife and the pencil. All it's doing is it's sharpening me, making me a better person. I continue to say, fine, whatever the world has to offer me, I will take it because I know what can bring me happiness. In closing, I just want to repeat something we spoke about earlier. We are Toastmasters. We know how to talk. We are learning so hard to listen. And after that, we have to know how to act upon it. We have to move on it. And the best way for us to act upon it right now is to take the obligation, the responsibility to use our talents and to use the things that we're loved to help the people in need. It is time for us to step up and talk for the people who cannot talk for themselves. It is time for us to speak for the people who can't be heard. It is time for all Toastmasters to stand up and do what is right. Thank you for this platform. Thank you so much. Let's just do the right thing. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Marty, for you always share a lot of things for me, and I personally thank you for that one. Our final speaker for today is Ilya. Ilya Davydov has been up on peaks, as in top of the world, having a family, friends, and a good job, but he has also walked into valleys, being bitten in school because he's Jewish, betrayed by people he cared most, and fired from jobs after they were done with him. He speaks from personal experience to you and desires to awaken a sleeping giant within you. It took Ilya a year to discover his calling, and he has a burning desire to help you find your passion, your purpose in life. I present to you Ilya Davydov.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I hope you guys taking notes. I hope you really guys taking good notes on everything you have heard so far. And the reason I say that, if it wasn't recorded, you just missed a lot of gold nuggets that you've heard. But in addition to what I just heard, I also want to say something that may surprise you. Everything you've been hearing up to now is filled with a lie. Let me repeat that again. Everything you've heard up to now is a complete lie. Now, I want to step back and share with you something and clear a little bit of dust. I'm not referring to Shirley or Marty, my good friends that I love and I enjoy to have them with me, but everything else, and I will show it to you by expressing exactly what I mean by it. Before I go there, I would like to share with you something that you might find it amusing and maybe cheer you up a little bit after Marty's great speech that I loved it and enjoyed it and it's close to my heart. Imagine, and we are in Toastmasters, we have to give a name to a character, that Shirley is a doctor and Marty is a patient. So Marty comes to Shirley's office and says, Dr. Shirley, my stomach hurts. She looks at him and says, you need to see an optometrist. And she just sits at her desk and starts writing something. And Marty wasn't happy with the answer. He looked at Shirley and says, Dr. Shirley, no, you don't understand. My stomach hurts. She glanced at him again and said, I heard you. You need to see an optometrist. At that point, Marty really got frustrated with Shirley and says, Doctor, I came to see you because my stomach hurts. Shirley put down the pen, looked at Marty and said, your stomach hurts because your eyes are hungry. And the point of this story is a lot of times our stomach hurts because our hearts and our eyes are hungry. We eat too much. We take too much. We think that it's not enough and we want to have another bite. And I'm not speaking of food, I'm speaking in general on anything you do. Be that a credit card, be that work, a new car, a house that's bigger than you could afford. And then it's too much for you to handle, too much for you to grasp. The reason I share this is because this is an important point of our life right now. We're facing this crisis for a reason. I've visited multiple clubs, and that's what sparked me to engage this conversation with Marty and Shirley and invite them over to speak, to inspire some of our members. I could have invited other people, and with the blessing of our wonderful trio to present to you, I said it that I feel that people are right now pressed here with Toastmasters in our tribe, and they need some assistance to come out in a much better way than they entered in. And I'm referring to COVID-19 and everything that sparked beyond that point. We're in a position that we need to enter out now and exit, okay, into COVID 2020. And COVID stands for Co-Victory of 2020. The 19 is behind, it's over, it's done. What are you going to do from this point forward now? What are you looking to do? 40 million people are not coming back to work. Manufacturers, stores are closing. People are frustrated, not sure, not knowing what to do. Sadly to say, and I feel that some of the members are in their last path of being renewed at the Toastmasters because they don't see it value that Toastmasters give them. I found value when I joined because I went through similar transition that you heard from Shirley and Marty recently. As growing up, young adult, I always wanted to have a family, good life, everything that life has to offer. So I found a person I thought would be with me for the rest of my life. And we had a family for 13 years, wonderful relationship. It was, in my opinion, 2 kids. everything that could happen should have happened great for me. But during that time, I lost jobs 3 or 4 times. I don't even remember anymore. I don't count that. It always put an additional dent, worry, anxiety, and stress on me that relayed over to my family. And not knowing what it was doing to me, I didn't see how far we were getting disconnected. And sadly, I wasn't getting the support I was looking for from another party. Lo and behold, in 2013, in a matter of 1 month, I've lost everything that you could only imagine. My dad's sudden pass, he passed away without having major sickness or surgery. I got a divorce, or I was told that our happy moments came to the end and that person doesn't love me anymore. I had friends or so-called friends that turned their back on me. And so in that hard time, I had 2 car accidents, and on top of everything, ex's grandfather, who I dearly loved, who lived through World War II, had passed away at the same time. All within a matter of 30 days. So the 2013 did not start with me with a happy moment. My whole month of January was a disaster almost until the beginning of February. I was drowning without being in the water. I had no idea where to go or where to ask for help. And the worst thing, that your minds, your thoughts that you're getting it are not always positive. And you do get crazy ideas that you want to do something that you want to just end your life with. But I knew that it won't help anyone that I cared for. And that would be my 2 children, my mom, my siblings, and other families that do care for me, even though they were not next to me. So I chose to stay. I chose to live and turn my life around. I chose to make a difference in myself. Look at myself not as who I become, but who I could be. With that being said, I start looking into only thing that I knew before everything happened to me. I turned myself back into books, positive books, audio, CDs, some of the motivational speakers that I've heard and known from the past. And I start to work on myself, start to developing within myself an idea of how I can overcome what happened to me. Because what happened to me happens to millions of people, but I didn't see it that way then. I saw it happen to me. No one thinks of others when it happens to them, because it's now my burden. Someone said once, and I heard it, I thought it was funny, that recession is when it happens to somebody, depression is when it happens to you. And that's what I think that it happened to me in that instance. So I was reliving that depression moment, the moment of difficulties. And I found myself in a position that I will not be the person that I had become based on those adversities. Luckily, I had a very thin thread of people that walked me through the path to get out of the darkness to the light side. One of whom, it was my manager at work. When he heard what I just shared with you, he said, "Ilya, you should be grateful." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Look, everything bad that could have happened to you happened at once. You will never have to live through this ever again." When he said it, it flew right over my head. I was like, Val, you must be nuts. So at that moment when he said it, it did not sink into me, but I repeated to myself over and over and over again through the years until it just sank to me and it spoke to my heart. And then I said, wow, he actually was absolutely right. I don't know if I could have lived through something like that again, because it was difficult. It was hard. And that's where I found myself reaching out to people, being humble enough to ask for help, knowing that I need, knowing that I cannot go through this by myself. You see, in America, we are, I don't want to say cocky, but we are kind of arrogant, thinking that we can do it ourselves, like a Home Depot, okay, do it motto. And we're so ashamed to ask for help. Well, I was like that too, until that moment. And I had to come to earth, come down to say, I need help. I need some guidance. I need some way out from this adversity, because I cannot live in agony all my life. I want to list to you a few things that if you lived on this earth over 18 years, you probably had experienced that just like I did, but you're still here. You're still alive. And those things that you probably had lived through is fall of Enron, bankruptcy of WorldCom, MCI, 9/11, SARS, 2008 crash, pandemic of the H1N1, I believe it was the swine, and Zika, because I had actually two. I had that, and I had Ebola as well. I wasn't sure exactly which year was which. But we had lived through all of that. So this time around, the COVID is nothing new to us. The only difference, like Shirley just expressed to you earlier, it's a global now. Because of the technology, because of the way we can move around and commute from place to place within a matter of minutes or hours, yes, it spreads globally. But pandemics like this had happened before. Sadly to say is that it will continue, and we'll be having another, maybe some sort of a pandemic in the future. Not maybe tomorrow, not maybe in 2 years. It will happen again, maybe in a decade or 2 decades. Who knows? But the one thing I know for sure, that we are humans. We cannot live without interacting. We cannot live without care for one another. And the most important, we cannot live through any adversities unless we're humble enough to ask for help, to reach out to someone and seek for additional guidance. I know one thing that you could also definitely take it, and I kind of was laughing as Marty and Shirley was speaking, because a lot of things that we're sharing with you, we did not collaborate. We thought of what we want to speak. I shared with them what my passion, what I want to bring it to our district and to other people maybe outside of the district, to inspire them to overcome any adversities. Americans, and I call Americans, not in America, I want to make sure you understand that. We are Americans. We make an America. There's no America without us. Always strive during this type of environment. No matter what happened, what I just shared with you and just told you about all the problems that we went for the past maybe 18, 20 years. We strived. Every single adversity we overcame. This is no different. Are you ready? Are you in the driver's seat, or are you on a passenger seat? Or you are completely outside of the car now? That's the question. If you wanted to overcome this problem, if you're facing some difficulties, you lost a job, you just got the final notice that the company that opens up will not have you back. I get it. I understand. I've been there. Not once, quite a few times. I was working for AT&T Wireless before AT&T was global now. We call it legacy AT&T. That's AT&T when we used to have a SBC global, where we had the Singular, where we had other companies like I am mentioning, MCI and other companies. And then in 2004, when the licensing expired, Singular bought the company, rebranded everything to Singular Wireless. And then they figured out that Singular, very similar to Singular, which is a medicine, and a lot of elderly generation people always confuse one with another. What are we selling it? They decided to rebrand themselves, and they bought the licensing back from AT&T for billions of dollars. I said I would take it a fraction of that millions and live happily after if they would pay me on how much money they wasted. But this rebranding it caused company to lay off a lot of people, and I was one of them. That's just one example of going through an adversity. I was a young father with a child on my hands for almost 5-year-old, having a house that we bought it for $250,000 and have no income now. I was freaking out beyond my point. I was just completely arrogant on everything. I was jumping on every single word or sentence said to me. Doesn't matter if it's a family member or someone from outside. That was one of the dents that was put on me. Then I went to my other career, which is in finances. That's what I studied for. After working for a bank for over 4 years, 2008 happened. And instead of helping customers on finding their dream homes, helping them to refinance, to find them a better payment plan, or consolidate some of the debts, we start to chase people for the collections. This is not what I was hired to do, but that's what company wanted us to do. And going to people's houses, knowing they have no money because they were sitting home because they had no way to pay it back, was hurting me because I knew them personally. I knew them so well, I've met their entire families. And I always said that when I close a house for you, I'm closing it like as if it is for me. And it was hard. It was very hard for me to go through that experience. In 2008, that happened. In 2010, the company decided that they don't need us anymore. They have enough people in collection agency, and they let go all members of lending department. Strike two. It wasn't easy. But then I already knew that I will never live like that again. So I start seeking into different venues, start looking into other ways how I can expand myself, because I didn't want to have been dependent by one company, one income, knowing that it always could change on me. I started working for another person that was in travel and leisure, who helped me to learn a little bit new venue in my life, new idea of how I can expand myself. I found myself being a person of happiness, bringing something nice to people where they can find joy in what they have paid for as they buy a trip to go elsewhere. That led me to another venue. After the divorce, a year from that, I decided to take a leap and open myself a travel agency. But before I did that, I created a blueprint. I wrote down what I want my company to be like. I didn't want it to work by myself. So I created a full plan, which I followed. And funny enough, in 2 months after I launched the company, a first person walked to me. I didn't even look for someone to hire. A person just walked to me, someone that I knew from past, and asked me, what am I doing? When I expressed to her what I was doing, she said, that's interesting. Would you be interested to hire someone to work with you? I almost fell off the chair. Today, I can go back for the past 5 years and look at everything I wrote it down, and everything comes into fruition because I put my mind to it. But most important, I was humble enough to ask for help. The person I worked for in the travel company, we disagreed on some things. And he said, Ilya, we don't have we. There is no us. This is my company. I'm paying you. As long as I'm paying you, no we, no us. And that's when I knew that we'll never work together again. So when I left him, with my networking, I was able to reach out to someone else and said, hey, this is what happened. This is where I'm at. I love what I do. I have a great relationship with people. Can you help me? She put me in contact with people that helped me to push forward, to launch the business. All I'm saying is, it is not something that me, Marty, or Shirley sharing with you to impress you what we did, but to impress upon you, to wake you up, to get you into re-entrance of a new direction. No matter what your circumstances, there's always way out. After listening to a couple other trainings that were held by the district, which I greatly appreciate, again, our trio. They did a marvelous job after pandemic. What they've done it's 180 degrees of what I have never expected that would happen. That they put the plan together, they held the winter conference, spring conference virtually, and they were able to have everything done as planned by Toastmasters International. Absolutely kudos to them, my hands down to them. And when I reached out to listen to a few of the trainings that they put together, one of them was Larry speaking on how to set up your LinkedIn account correctly, to be visible to employees that are looking for you. The other one was by Alberto, I believe, and forgive me for name, I remember him and just skipped my mind, was speaking about on how to create your resume. We have such a wealth of people at Toastmasters that know how they can help you to find your next venture, to find your new job, to find your niche. Are you humble enough to ask for help? It may be a fracture of cost, and that cost not always monetary, maybe time, maybe your effort. Maybe just be humble enough to say, hey, I need help. Would you be willing to help me out with this or with that? That's all it takes. It doesn't take extraordinary effort from you to do something. But if it does take monetary, say I'm willing to pay for your effort. So say I'm willing to pay if you could help me to create that website or create that resume. But be humble to say that and say, hey, I don't know how much it costs and I'm kind of out of a job. This is what can I afford. Something you can help me with it. Show the effort that you're willing to pay to compensate for the time that the other person puts for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? And I get it that it's hard. I get it, it's difficult when you don't have a job. Okay? But with the respect of other person's time and effort, they're putting it for you. Just offer them something, a cup of coffee, I don't care, gift card. Just give them something that they feel welcome. We did this out of goodness of our heart. We want you to hear us. If you take anything from today, I want you to take this. We did this for you to inspire you to move forward. We could have invited, and I'm talking about district now, anyone, any celebrities, any speakers, and have it spoke with you guys and have inspired you in different ways. But I wanted to bring someone that you know on a local level, someone that you are shaking hands before the pandemic. Knowing for a few years, well, Marty has been a short period of time with Toastmasters, but Shirley's a veteran a bit longer than me, so I'm kind of falling in between. And I didn't want to speak by myself when I offered that to Stella and to Noel. I wanted to make sure that we do this collaboratively with other people.
It's on that side.
What's that? I hear another voice, sorry. So when that happens, there is nothing new that we haven't before. We just have never experienced, but we're living through the history. You will have an opportunity to share this with your grandchildren and hopefully with your great-grandchildren of what you just have lived through for the past 20 years. Things like that happened last century. If you just dug into the history and look for the beginning of century and what the industry, how it was changing it almost until about, I'll say 1930s, 36s, you'll see a lot of industry changes during that time. People were jobless, market was down. You'll see a lot of different adversities that people had to go through. But they made it through. We're a product of their environment. Because they lived through it, we're here. There is no point to giving up. There's a point to move forward. It is time for us to realize that we are the future. Not our children, not our grandchildren, we are the future. And until you realize that, nothing new will happen. I know we in Toastmasters have a great motto. What is it? Toastmasters where leaders are born? No. Toastmasters where leaders are learned? Oh no, it's Toastmasters where leaders are made. And we have to live up to that. We are made because we're in Toastmasters. Some of us sitting here right now, and we have me, and I'm speaking on behalf of both Marty and Shirley, have a full confidence that you will change the life of another person without not realizing even that you do so. That you will help to save someone's life because you pick up the phone and dial them in and say, hey, let's have a cup of coffee. Let me hear you. Let me see what you have in mind. Maybe meet someone at a networking event. Maybe start a new job, helping another person. I don't know who said it, but it said it best. Lose yourself in the service of others. The moment you become selfish, and become selfless, you will find yourself in a position that no matter what adversities you're going through, they will not be as important as you make them look when you were inside yourself looking at them. And I hope that you've heard that from me, from Shirley, from Marty, and I'm sure there's a tons of people that could have experienced the same thing we just had gone through. I want to leave you with one thought only. We're here to help. I am honored to present to you, and I'll be happy to speak with anyone. If you're wishing to contact me, Shirley, or Marty, to have any consultation on any level, it will be confidential. We'll be happy to give you a complimentary half an hour, 30 minutes of our time to speak to you over the phone or over Zoom to see how we can inspire you, maybe find something for you, something that will help you to move forward. But there is a catch. We cannot do it for you. You have to do it. You have to find yourself in a position to ask for help. Being in a position that all of us in sales, okay, and I do sell my services, but I made an oath with my company that we're not selling anything until July. So for the next 4 weeks, no matter what consultation I've been doing it, or before that and now, I'm not charging anything to anyone. I'm doing absolutely for free. I will contact people as they will contact me via email or phone call. We'll set up appointments and we'll speak. I'll listen to what they have in mind, like Marty said. I'll ask them what they're seeing, how it could be done better. And then we put the plan together, how they can work this out. That's my last thought. I hope you have something valuable that you've heard from us. I hope you take it to heart without fighting it and move forward, because the break days are coming. It's sunny outside. We'll definitely enjoy sunny days more than fall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ilya. And again, I can't thank enough on behalf of the District Trio with Marty, Shirley, and Ilya for all that you've done to help everybody through these times that are very difficult for a lot of people. The mental stress that comes along with it, people losing their jobs, just trying to survive through all these times. This is very helpful for everybody. And the good thing about this thing is we recorded this, and this is something that we can continue to share to others. Marty's definitely happy with that one. Thanks, Stella. She remembered to record. I'll give her the credit on that one. It's not on my end. But definitely it is something that's very helpful for everybody. And thank you, Shirley. She's posted something on the chat. If you do need to get a hold of Marty, Shirley, and Ilya, we will provide their contact information if you need it. Just reach out to the District Trio or just leave a message on our district webpage. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to Stella for some announcements and to share any information that's upcoming for our district and things that are going on. Madam District Director.
Thank you. Mr. Program Quality Director. Thank you so much. And again, it's been great to see everybody here, but I think that there's not only sunshine outside, but I think there's been a lot of sunshine right here. A lot of great words, a lot of great feelings, and I feel that the energy that we have together as a family of Toastmasters is definitely present. And I think a lot of us in Toastmasters have had that great words of wisdom where we all are totally always focused on each other. And you can see that from some of the Facebook postings lately where they talk about how we really do embrace multicultural backgrounds. And I think that's just fantastic that the uniqueness of us is really spreading. I would like to open it up as a time, and Noel, can you help me make sure that everybody can have their mics opened? He's an excellent webmaster. And I want to have the opportunity to have people just say and express their thoughts, and to thank the people that opened up they were open to us today. They told us a lot about their challenges, and I know all of us have had challenges, and hopefully from hearing stories and how they were able to overcome them, we can overcome them. And I want to open it up to you now. You have a voice. Please be recognized.
We must have been so thorough in our message that no one had.
My Toastmasters.
Marty,
Yeah.
so there's a few messages that's on the chat if people have not noticed from Robert Harrington saying excellent. Now on to do. And you're right. The next step is the action. It's call to action for us to do something about what we've just seen and heard. Annie Shen, thank you so much. Thank you, Marty, Shirley, and Ilya for the wonderful presentation.
Here, and this is an old trick that, nobody talks to you until you put food in your mouth. So.
Bacon, of course.
I think humor does help a lot.
Everyone is.
I think that's a common thread for getting through some stuff. I don't know, for myself, I think it's, we've had so many challenges this year, right? I think that talking from the trio, we've been working nonstop, and it's just been so many things that we have to come over and accomplish. And I think my remedy is action. When I'm feeling depressed, and I do get that way, it's that action step that really helps. And I think that that's what we need to do. And here we are doing that. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the recording so we can be personal without, I don't think if I'm as brave as Marty and Shirley and Ilya, but I would like to turn off the recording. First, thank everybody for being here and supported with the district and our members. Thank you so very much. It's an honor to be here with you guys. The recording is.
I want to quick.
Stop recording. There's the start button.